Yeah, that's a wonderful question too. Nature versus nurture, as they say, you know. Are we born with a gift or an ability to do something, or do we learn it? What's that? Well, you are. Why? Because you said it out loud. Yeah. Your brain is convinced now. That's done. You are, my friend. That's what we call confidence building. I used to run things for young men, how to approach women, how to approach girls. The most important thing before you approach a girl out, is your confidence, you know what I mean? Because they will pick it up like that, man. You could be ugly, fat, old. If you're confident, they're going to give you those first 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Because that's what women do. Remember, if you're in the middle of Amazon, you approach a female like this, what are they going to do? They're going to run. The first thing they're going to the first thing that they're going to do is their mind's going, shit, am I in danger? That's it. So you could be, Latrell Mitchell. If you approach a girl in a dark alley, she's going to get scared, you know what I mean? So it's where you approach, how you approach, and it doesn't matter how good looking you are. It's the time, the place, but your confidence. So the first 10 seconds, doesn't matter what you look like, what you say. She's just going to be thinking, fuck, am I safe here? Okay, there's people there. Then once you get past those first 10 seconds, if you're polite, if you know your distance, if she knows that you're going to leave because you're not drunk or then she's going to give you another 10, 20 seconds. Then you just do a 70-30, which is 70% listening, 30% talking. You just ask them questions about themselves, but very politely. And if the answer is no, you feel immediately that it's not working, you nicely say, oh, thank you very much for your time, and you walk. Why? Because you might have lost that battle, but you just don't know where it's going to come around again. Later on in the night or in 3 weeks' time, you bump into her again, or one of her friends. Oh, I like that guy. You just don't know. So you plant seed. It's not about winning every time. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to take the ball up and have five hit ups and then kick long. You don't have to score a try every time. And so, but your confidence that I'm a weapon. That's what you should be saying. I know, like, there's a couple of girls there, and I'm telling someone, okay, what are you going to do before you stand up and approach them? I go, I don't know. I go, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Say to yourself out loud, you're a weapon. And you say, I'm a weapon. Already your brain's going, fuck yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? But if you're saying, oh, I'm ugly and fat. That approach is very different to saying, I'm a weapon, you know what I mean? But then you've got to use humility, of course, because girls like confidence, but they don't like arrogance. It's tough work, man.
The power of belief, eh?
Hey?
Power of belief.
Very important. We've all seen the news throughout decades what people do because of belief. People die because of it. And you're looking at it from outside, go, what? Really? But they believe it, man, and that's it. Their mind is locked into that. It's been happening for centuries. Just read the history of our civilization. People have died not because so much of their belief, but because of their belief, and they believe the other one's wrong, which is very different. I've got my own beliefs, but I try very hard to be broad-minded, and I'm aware that it's only my belief. But some people think they hold the absolute truth. That's where the problem comes. My God's right, not yours. My culture's right, not yours. This is mine, not yours, and so forth, you know what I mean? That's where the problem comes. But if you know that this is the way I think, but that other person has a totally different perspective because of many, many reasons, then you can start a dialogue and say, hey man, and that's what they call diplomacy in politics. You've heard of the Palestine-Israel conflict. That's been happening for decades. Why? Because both believe are right, not because their belief systems, it's because both believe that they are right, you know what I mean? It's a very simple issue, like most issues are. You've got one piece of land that two peoples want roughly about the same size. What's the solution? You cut in half, this is yours, this is mine. That would be the most solution. You've got roughly about the same amount of people wanting the same piece of land. The rational part would be saying, hey, okay, that's yours, that's mine. But because people believe that they are right, the other one's wrong, they can't do that. And that's happened throughout centuries and millennia, you know what I mean? So being broad-minded, my friends, knowing that all we have is only our perspective and that each one has their own truth, that's where it starts, because there's a certain amount of respect for the other, yeah. And that's what we need, you know, and especially in Australia with obviously the long situation that we've had way too long with regards to, you know, land and so forth here. And it's unfortunately the wrong people with the wrong approach, and mostly about what each one can get out of it rather than looking at it in a way that should be looked at with a rational, not only belief but rationality, you know. This is right, there's some things that are right, some things that are wrong, you know, and you can't justify it. Yeah, but that's a good question. I mean, I think, just to answer that, because I haven't answered it yet, there's been lots of studies in psychology about that. I believe that the environment plays a huge part in what people become. There was 3 ping pong, number 1, number 2, number 3. Top ping pong players, I know it's shit sport, in the 80s or the 90s I think it was, the 3 of them came from the same suburb in Britain. So was it just a coincidence that 3 people had the gift for ping pong? Or was it that there was a club right in the middle of that suburb that had ping pong tables? Just so happened that a coach who played ping pong professionally lived on one of the streets there and coached kids playing ping pong in that thing. You know, so he would have had 100, but 3 of them became great ping pong players. So it's the law of probability. It's like a net fishing, you know what I mean? It's like you're going to get something. But these 3 kids, if they were born somewhere else, they wouldn't have become ping pong players. It doesn't matter if they had the gift or they had the talent. They had the opportunity, number 1, the opportunity to learn the sport. They had the right teacher, which is very important for us all, as we know, who we listen to. And they had the tools, they had the ping pong tables, you know. So those 3 things were far more important than the fact that they were great. Now, I do think that in biology we call it disposition. We call it a disposition. So I have a disposition to be a great writer, you know what I mean? But I may not become a great. Why? Because I know the vocabulary well, I like reading, but if I don't actually write and learn writing or have someone encourage me writing, then I won't become it. So someone may have a disposition to be a good footballer. Why? Because they've got a good body, they're fast, they're athletic, they've got a certain amount of skill with regards to ball playing and so forth. But unless they're born, that rugby league player, if they're born anywhere outside Australia, New Zealand or Britain, or maybe some of the Pacific, they won't become a footy player because that sport doesn't exist, you know what I mean? And so, yes, you have a disposition to do something in your life. All of you have a disposition. You could have been or will be something that will be perfect for your body type, for your attitude in life. But unless you have the environment and the opportunity and the tools and the right people guiding you, those 3 things, then you won't do it. I won't do it. So that's your answer, I think. Well, you just said like in 3 seconds, it took me 10 minutes. I love that. So just saying people didn't hear you. Ability, what was it? Talent? Yep. Perfect, because the talent is what is passed down by ancestors. In biology, we call it genes. And that's what we're saying in biology, that's a disposition. You have that gene, what makes us, the matter that makes us, and everything, our makeup that they call it, is made from genes that we call genes, our genes. And that's passed on from our ancestors, from our family. not only our parents, but from others. That's why sometimes, for example, my dad's not very tall, but his dad is tall. Sometimes he jumps a generation or two. You see that in horse racing, when they have, two winners and nothing happens, that they can't get one. But then maybe the next generation he does. So the genetic pool is there. There's the dominant and the recessive gene that they call it in biology. And so that's why sometimes you have a kid with blue eyes. Because what happens is that, their parents might have brown eyes, but the recessive gene was the brown. But the dominant gene was the blue that came from the father, the grandfather, or the uncle, or so forth. That's how. So that is, the matter part, the material part, passed down by our ancestors, if you like. But it's our decisions and what we do with it that's going to get us. Yep. And so, having said that, none of us here are going to end up, through fate, if you like, becoming something that we shouldn't. You know what I mean? It's only because of our decisions that we've become what we've become at the moment. And that's a good thing, because it's not inside of you. It doesn't make you. It doesn't make you. As we said, your ancestors have given you a certain genetic pool. But now what you do with it is very important. And every decision, the now is very important. So that's how powerful it is. No one's locked into anything. Your history does not make you, does not push you. Your future's pulling you to become who you want to be, as long as you make the right decision. That's all. Yeah, that's good question, that one. Very interesting, because it's something that we all talk about in the academic world, for centuries. No one really got a right answer, but it's nice to listen to both sides of the coin. Yeah, but I think who said it was a mixture of both? Someone here said, and I think you're right. It is a mixture of both. Yeah, all right, guys. I mean, you've had enough, I think.
What a wonderful time I had talking to this group of men, hardened men, who had decided to change their life for good after many, many attempts. And I did learn a lot from them as well. As you could tell, we did jump a few times into my speech in order to maintain the privacy of those there, but it was wonderful. We were around the fire early in the morning under a beautiful tree. The birds were singing and we had a good laugh, a good chat. Can't wait to go back. This is Carlos Camacho bidding you farewell for now, of course, from Private Universe. And remember, existence is a miracle.